Hey guys, what's going on? So today I'm going to teach you exactly how to catch a shark from shore. Alright, so catching a shark is pretty much one of the most exhilarating things you can do in fishing. If you've been watching my channel, I've posted 2 full fights of me fighting a shark and also my dad fighting a shark. So before you decide you want to go shark fishing, I'd watch those just briefly, just so you really know what you're getting yourself into, because this is pretty serious stuff. Sharks are massive, fierce, and there's not a lot of forgiveness when you're fighting them. And tackle can break, things just fall apart really fast. So I'm just gonna make this quick guide just to so you're well prepared for the first time, or it's just a good thing to look at if you're considering going. So in terms of equipment needed to catch a shark from shore, you really need 3 things. First, you need a rod. And what I recommend is something 10 feet or more. This is not the time for light tackle. You need something really heavy duty just so you can really pull the shark in, because you know, you can see sharks anywhere from 50 to 300 pounds preferably, or more. There's really no limit. So you need a good rod. Number 2 is a reel. I would go for 8,000 size or more with 50-pound test minimum. We didn't listen to that at all. I didn't listen to that. Our first time we were pretty inexperienced, so we were using 30-pound test. I wouldn't do that again. You definitely need thick line. And then the last thing is some sort of shark rig, whether that's some wire. Specifically what I use, we used a really heavy-duty circle hook with about this much wire, and then 200-pound fluoro test, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So really quickly, this is the rod. This is a Silstar.
Right? Good night here tonight.
It's called, it's funny, it actually says this. It says world's strongest rod on it. This rod's from the early 90s. This rod's about 30 years old. I wouldn't use this. It's kind of a miracle that this thing didn't break during the fishing, but it held up. You just need a really strong rod. Now this rod is strong, but if I was gonna go out and catch sharks again, I would definitely upgrade. And you need to make sure that you don't skimp out on rods at all. Again, we used a Penn Battle 2. You got to get something bigger than this. It's absolutely insane that we even caught a shark on this. We'd upgrade. You need something bigger. And then third, this is the shark rig that I was talking about. So you got a super strong circle hook. You can't get a cheap hook. The first time we hooked the shark, we had a really cheap rig. It was some bluefish wire, and the shark just pretty much bit right through it. There's about a half a foot to a foot of wire. This is super strong. You can get packs of wire for pretty cheap, and then you can tie it yourself, or you can buy pre-made shark rigs. And then next up is pretty important, the 200-pound mono. You see that fraying, now that's actually from the shark just rubbing against it. These sharks have their skin's like sandpaper, so you gotta be careful. You gotta use really thick line after the wire, because this whole thing was frayed. Tackle will fail. You need really strong line. Before I talk about techniques to how to catch them, I just gotta really stress the fact that you do need good gear. I would not recommend coming in with anything other than heavy line, heavy tackle, and a really good rod, because if you don't, you'll end up breaking things. These sharks are pretty dangerous, and you can fight them for an hour, a couple hours, and usually what'll happen is the fish will break off at the start or at the very end of the fight, and you do not want to lose a fish that you can just see in the water and then break the line. That happened to us the first time. Trust me, just commit to having good gear. Not expensive, but it needs to be a level of durability in your tackle. Don't skimp out. I'm telling you, you will regret it. Alright, so you have your gear, and now you actually want to catch the fish. So first off, in terms of bait, you gotta use either live bait or fresh, and this is important, this is very key to catching sharks, fresh cut bait. We use bluefish.
Bait is set. We got it all ready.
The area we were fishing had bluefish swimming around, so you got to use that, just what's available. But the key, if you're going to use any sort of fillet, any sort of cut of bait, it's got to be fresh, because pretty much as soon as we cast out, the sharks have an incredible sense of smell. I don't know if you've seen, Mark Rober made a video, it has millions and millions of views, but they can really key in specifically on fish blood.
All right, round 2. Kyle just had a massive bite on.
No, 4, round 4.
Okay, round 2, that's like...
Yeah, it's kind of freaking. You have one? Let's go.
Oh, yeah!
So with the fresh bait, you know, the blood will be fresh. They can just smell it and they'll be attracted to it. So earlier I talked about 3 pieces of gear that are really important, but I'm just going to add maybe the most important part. It's this right here. Now, if you don't know what this is a slider clip. So what it does, all right, so you unclip it, you put the weight through, you clip it back up, and now the key is the sliding. So I'm not going to do it right now, but you'd put it through the line, and what would happen, this would be sitting on the bottom of the ocean, and a shark would come up and take your line, and then it could just start ripping out line with your bait, because that's one of the things sharks do. They don't really swallow the bait right away. They hold it in their mouth as they move, and then they start swallowing it. But if they can feel a weight, if you have a weight just attached to the line, they'll feel it and they'll just drop the bait. So the slider, you put it on, the fish takes it, they can't feel it, and then you can set your hook, and then the fight's on. I wouldn't do shark fishing without this. It's only a couple bucks. Slider weight, just look it up. I'll actually link it below as well. This is really key, especially for us. This really came in handy. Besides what I've already talked about, the only really other key would just be to be patient. And that's true with all fishing, especially bait fishing. You just gotta really wait, because if you know the sharks are around, they will eventually just take your bait. You gotta have perseverance, just wait a little bit. So after waiting a while, if you do hook your fish, this is kind of the next phase. This is the hooking and landing part of catching a shark. Fighting them is just really like any other fish, especially big game fish. You just gotta really inch them in. They'll take long runs. That's just part of it. You just got to work them in over time. Now, this is the real key. Once you get them near shore, things get pretty interesting. What we did, this is how we brought them in. You'd use a wave. A wave would be crashing, and you use the wave as leverage to pull them in the last time. You don't want to just yank them in. They're too heavy. They'll just snap the line.
Daddy! Oh! Oh!
You grab his tail.
Grab his tail!
And then once he's on shore, you can really do 2 things. You can break the hook. You can use wire or really heavy-duty fence cutters to break the hook. Or you can do what we did and just cut the line as close as possible. Now, this doesn't hurt the fish, especially if you're using a circle. They'll be always hooked right in the jaw. These circles will just stay there or fall out, and it doesn't affect them. But you just got to somehow... You can also try to remove the hook, but we weren't confident enough to actually remove the hook, because we just wanted to get them in the water as soon as possible, and that's really the key. You just got to get the fish back. They do have mortality rates. The longer they're out, the more likely they are to die when they get back in. So cut the hook or cut the line as close to the hook as possible, and they'll do fine, and then you can, try to catch another one. Alright guys, let me know what you think. Let me know if you've caught a shark, if you want to try it. We're approaching 1,000 subscribers. It's gonna happen soon. I'll keep you updated with that, and we're going to do a giveaway. I haven't decided what yet, but it's going to be good. Alright guys, I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.